Hello everyone, Maya Yusuf here. Welcome. Today it's another day of Qanun tips and Qanun secrets. So today I wanted to come live with you to tell you about the 7 top things to avoid when you are buying a Qanun. This is one of my frequently asked questions. I get a lot of questions from people from all over the world, who are looking to buy Qanuns and they're not sure what to look for, what not to look for. So therefore I am making this video to answer your questions. So before we do anything, I'm gonna share this in my group. So let me know where you're tuning in from. Hello. And whether you're watching it live or you're watching the replay. So I'm just gonna share this in my group. Share into Qanun. Share in a group, and that is called Learn Qanun Online, and the Qanun is QANUN. Oh, that wouldn't work. Let's try again. Sorry about that. Learn. Voila, done. Perfect. Okay, let's get straight into it. So, number 1 thing that you must look for when you're buying Qanun, the body of the instrument, the actual body of the Qanun needs to be intact. So the sound box, the wood, there must not be any cracks on it. If there are any cracks on it, avoid it altogether, because if the cracks get worse, what will happen is that you're gonna have to take it to a luthier, and the luthier has to remove all the strings if the crack is in the front end of the Qanun, and have to pull the strings back again. It's a hassle. I had some friends and some students who worked with cracked Qanuns, but they don't work effectively. The sound resonance is not as strong. So if there is a crack on the actual body of the sound box itself, I would avoid that altogether. Yeah. I once had a crack here, like here at the tip of the Qanun, and I just went to a luthier and he basically glued it. This is not actually on the actual box, so it's not an issue. But yeah, avoid cracks on the actual body, on the sound box of the instrument. Welcome. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but welcome. So that's the first thing. Number 2 thing is that avoid, this part of the Qanun here. This part is called drachma, and it's essential in creating that resonance in the sound. So whenever I pluck, the sound hits the inside of the Qanun, and then basically vibrates through the skin. This is fish skin. So I would always recommend to avoid goat skin. Goat skin I don't like it. It has a funny sound. It's more resilient, true. So if you are looking into bashing your instrument, goat skin don't do that. Goat skin might be a better option, but it does not because it's thicker, the sound doesn't vibrate as much. So I would go with fish skin drachma. Okay. And that brings us to tip number 3. With the things to avoid is do not buy Qanuns with cracked drachma. It's a big no-no, massive no-no. So here, as I've mentioned, this part is extremely fragile. This bit here, this bit. It's as I said, it's made of fish skin, and if there's any crack to it, then again you're gonna have to remove the whole the whole set of strings, take it to a luthier who will have to apply the fish skin and then put the strings back. It's a long process. So avoid that, I would say, unless if you are in a place where there is a kanun maker readily available who can do that for you. Yeah. So you need your drachma. You need to inspect the drachma very, very, very well, and to make sure that it is intact. Yeah. And then the fourth thing that you need to look for, to avoid when you're looking to buy a kanun, is that I see a lot of kanuns with like a yellow coating on top of, hello Sashila, on top of the strings, and hello Suzanne, and that is something, I mean, it can be repairable. Like you can get a piece of cotton and actually basically don't wet it and pull it through. But if that doesn't go, some really old canoes, the strings have basically they have expired, and you just have to remove them. Now strings is not such a massive problem as the other problems, as like the drachma or the crack, the crack in the drachma and in the body of the instrument. But I mean, if you're looking into something that you want very quickly, I would avoid that as well. Unless if you are willing to take off the whole set of strings and apply and fix a new set of strings, yeah? And then, yes, you would like number 4? Am I number 5? Number 5. Avoid canoons with muffled sound, yeah? Now, instruments are like... They're I mean, I speak to this as if it's a baby, you know, and sometimes instruments which are not played, the sound gets muffled, but some instruments are actually, they are just naturally muffled no matter what you do with them, you know, no matter how old they get, it's just the way they are. So I would avoid a kanun with a muffled sound. So if you think that the sound should be really open, I don't have my plectrum, so the sound is not very strong. But you need that open sound. You need that vibrant, strong sound. And if you feel that the sound is really muffled and really weak, then this is something to avoid. Obviously, different canoes have different characters. You know, other canoes have like a lower, like a more deeper sound. Some, like the Turkish canoes, have more high vibration sound. They don't have that dark edge, yeah, which I really love. So it is something that is subjective. But I would recommend getting an instrument with an open sound, because that gives you options, yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna have to play really hard, and you don't want to struggle to play. And the last 2 tips about things to avoid, it's related to your levers. Now, what are the levers? The levers are basically these metallic knobs on the side, and these are like your black keys on the piano. So these are super duper important, and you're gonna end up pulling them up and down all the time, because this is how you control your pitch. So 2 things to avoid. The first thing, avoid rusty levers. This is just inspect your levers really closely and make sure that there's no rustiness on it, because that is something that's a big no-no. And that will cost you a lot of time trying to, again, take the whole set of strings, fix new set of levers, put strings all back again. Avoid that, okay? And the last thing, which is something I suffered from a lot when I was in the beginning of my journey, is pointy levers. So I mean, you don't want. So look, I don't know if you can see, but these levers, the tips of these levers is round, and like it's a bit like this, yeah. So avoid pointy levers, because what will happen is that as you play. And this is something happened to me a gazillion times. You will start as you're playing. I'm sorry if this sounds painful, but you're gonna, as you're pulling the levers up and down, the levers might just go under your nail, and that will hurt like hell. You don't want that. So avoid pointy levers. You want levers with this shape, yeah? So something that is a bit like this, so you can flick it without actually killing yourself with pain. So these are my 7 tips with things to avoid whenever you are looking to buy an instrument. If you're not sure, then just drop me a message. I'm happy to answer that if I have the time and the capacity. But yeah, again, number 1, avoid canoons with cracked body. So the main body of the instrument needs to be intact. Avoid instruments with cracked drachma, this thing. Avoid instruments with drachmas made out of goat skin. You don't want that. Avoid instruments which have muffled sound. And instruments would have like sticky strings that cannot be cleaned. No, I mean, again, the way if you suspect that instrument there is like a coating, sometimes, you know, because you're basically on top of your instrument all the time. If you cannot clean it with a clean cotton without water, then you need to replace your strings. So this is not a huge problem, but it's something to be considered. And avoid instruments with rusty levers, big no-no, and avoid instruments with pointy levers. This is not a massive problem, but you might just have a lot of moments where you go, ouch! We don't want that. So I want you to enjoy that process. So these are my 7 top tips. I hope that was helpful. And tune in tomorrow, 1 p.m. GMT. I am not sure what my topic is going to be, to be honest. But if there's something that you want me to speak about, just let me know in the comments. And I will be very happy to answer your question on my live tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow, 1 p.m. GMT, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.